Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Grace. So, Grace, welcome. Grace, can you tell us your full type, please?
Yes, I'm an ISTJ, uh, double feminine, blast, sleep, play, consume, SITE. Yeah, yeah.
All right. I can see the
So,
feminine sensory already.
yes,
Right.
I do.
Um, let's start. So, what did you think and how did you feel when you got your results back?
Um, I was really nervous that I was going to get my type and then suddenly realize I am the worst trash person in the world. Whatever that would mean, I don't know. Um, that I would come to some sort of realization. But actually I was pretty happy with it. I'm like, oh, well, actually, no, that like, I don't know, like Chris Hadfield, like he's an astronaut. That's one of my twin types. And Melissa Joan Hart, like people don't dislike Melissa Joan Hart. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know. I've always seen ISTJs as like really competent people. I didn't think I was one of them. So yeah, I don't know. It's been pretty good. Yeah, I don't. Yep, there goes the sensory again. I lost it.
No worries, no worries. Uh, what is the most horrible type that you were dreading that you would be?
Oh no. I don't know. I guess whatever I fear I'm bad at. Um, I guess I was afraid of being an IP partially. Um, uh, though I mean that's what I always thought I was. So, but Dave and Shan make it sound like it's not a great thing to be unless you're an ISTP, and then it's like the best thing to be.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. No offense to the IPs, of course.
No, I actually really, I mean, I love them actually. Like Bo Burnham, for instance, he's great. I mean, there's so many of them. They're all great. I don't know. So yeah, there's a weird double standard thing there because I actually really like all of them. So
Yeah.
um, I
Maybe
don't
you're
know what that's about.
maybe you're double deciding. You're like you see the bad and the good for the IP, so you're like, yeah, I don't
I
want to.
guess I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's start with your first animal. It's ST Blast. It's double activated and it's a double feminine. Can you share a little bit about your double feminine ST Blast?
Yeah. Well, I definitely did not think I was a blaster. Uh, be I guess because of the double feminine, I'm I'm part of it. Because yeah, I don't feel confident talking. I just don't. Um, and I feel like I must come off that way, and I'm probably sometimes I do. Like right now, I'm stuttering a lot. But I don't know. Then I went back and I watched my typing video, and I actually didn't seem that bad, and I was surprised because I felt like I was doing really badly talking. So it's been a weird realization that I'm actually not bad at that. Um, but also, I mean, I've been talking to a lot of blast lasters, and they talk perfectly fine too. It's just they talk for longer with more detail. So,
I think with the Blast Laster, they use play to talk, so it's a little bit different, you know.
mhm.
With Blast, you're more concise with what you're saying, you know,
Yeah,
more organized.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
And again, I didn't think I was organized in my talking, but apparently I am comparatively. It's just like the whole spectrum thing. I thought I was in a different place on the spectrum, and it turns out no, no, no. There's all these other people over here who wish they were farther over on the spectrum, like where you are. Not that there's not people who are even like more fancy, but yeah. Um,
Well, it would make sense, I guess, you feeling like not super competent with it because double feminine, so you would be very insecure at using your blast. It's kind of weird because it's your first animal. It's double activated, you know, so it's um yeah, but I can relate with you. I can relate with you because I also have double feminine NT play and it's double activated also.
Oh
So
man.
there's like that level of insecurity with it, even though it's the savior and it's double activated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I totally get it. Um, let's talk about your sleep next. Your sleep is SF. So can you talk about I want to go over the different parts of SF sleep because there's a lot of dimensions to it. So let's talk about the first one first. It's having a body that feels good. So that means you're taking care of your health essentially. Like, do you have routines for um like eating healthy, exercising, going to see a doctor, dentist, like massage therapist, physio, like all that jazz? Like, do you have routines for any of those stuff?
That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected to be a sleep savior either. Uh, I mean, with COVID, the interesting thing that happened is, staying at home more. It's like I had more time to take care of myself. I had permission. I wasn't obligated to other things, and so suddenly it was like, yeah, and I started working out regularly, and I mean, I just started paying more attention to myself. Um, so that's been cool. And yeah, and of course, the second I started like going back out and about, it was like immediately harder mentally to get myself to be motivated to do stuff for myself. I mean, I thought I was a decider because I felt so unbalanced with that stuff. But again, apparently on the spectrum, some people are, you know, struggling more than me, which is fascinating, and I feel awful for them. um, but yeah, I don't know. I am not good at going to the doctor, uh, or the dentist or any of that. I'm just not. Never really have been. But like that's also like a family thing. Our family's terrible at that. Um, so I don't think I had good role models there.
Yeah,
So,
external factors definitely come into play. The person I just interviewed before you,
mm,
he's blast last, but his family always encouraged him to use the blast, so he got a chance to use it well. So I guess
yeah,
for the opposite, your family didn't encourage going to see the doctor and dentist, so I guess that external factor didn't, help you, of course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I do, once I started to better understand sleep as a concept, I would catch myself sleep processing a lot. Like, oh, wait, I'm doing that like a lot. And because at first I thought I was sleep last, which was, dumb. But yeah, but the more I thought about it, the more I started being like, okay, well, maybe I'm sleep third. Oh, maybe I'm sleep second. Um, and yeah, I'm like, well, I don't think I'm sleep first. I just don't feel introverted enough for that. And I have always felt like an ambivert. So, but I'm jumping topics. Uh, there. So yeah, sleep. I feel like sleep is hard to see because it's so very much internal, and I don't know when it's happening very well yet.
Well, can you talk about processing your emotions and your feelings and stuff?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not, I guess I do feel obligated, but yeah, I don't like it. Um, I've been realizing like being TE savior does make sense for me because I don't necessarily do things because I like them. I do them because like that's what everyone else is doing. Like if everyone else is playing D&D, okay, I'm playing D&D now. And like in high school, I did band, and like that was a group thing that I enjoyed, but like I didn't enjoy the solo performances more like as much. Like I did not like doing that. But as long as I'm with the band, I'm happy. So yeah, there's my emotions. I do not respect my own emotions very well. Um, and I wonder if I got that way because they're masculine. And so I feel like they're out of control. And so I need to like keep them in check or something. I don't know.
Well, if you're masculine FI and feminine TE, that means you see yourself as the threat, like you're the bad guy. You know,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
hurt people. You can seriously
Yeah.
hurt people if you go out of line. So you're careful.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I am. Yeah. I get very anxious about not saying the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing. So
Well, you're
it's
also double feminine though, so maybe the tribe perceive you as like really friendly and stuff, but they don't know the that thing that you're keeping down inside, you know.
I try to warn them. I'm like, I've told people like you don't want to get on my bad side. It takes a lot to get on my bad side, but once you're there, it's rough. Uh, I'm it's the Hulk thing. I'm one of like they talk about the Hulk thing. Yeah,
Oh,
apparently I do that. But
yeah,
it's NF Hulk. Like what is that,
yeah. Well, your
Uh,
Hulk is yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess well, it's S your sleep is SF, so whatever comes out is SF, I guess. But
oh,
it's a savior though, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know if it's the same, if your Hulk is a little bit weird. Yeah. Yeah, you're super double decider for sure though. Like so
oh
that's
yeah.
superpower. Yeah. Yeah, because even though you're tribe above self, you have savior sleep
Yeah. Oh, that's
before
true.
before play, which is and sleep is self before tribe, but because you have blast before that. So it's weird. Like you're super double decider for sure. Like super, super, super double decider.
Like as double deciders you can get, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, you're super balanced. So I think, yeah, like you said, it'd probably be really hard to get in your bad side. Like you would have to be like an extreme douche, to get there. And even then you might still cut them some slack. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. People got on my bad side during COVID though. I got really uh it intense about people being selfish. So
yeah. I think
uh
sorry,
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Just the whole double decider thing. The reason I had to I couldn't figure out my type is I got stuck trying to decide on self versus tribe. I'm like, which one am I? I can't. I'm like, and I'm like, maybe I'm a glass lizard and like double activated on my demons, and that's why I feel so balanced there. Why didn't I just think, oh, maybe I'm an observer? But I felt too intensely like I had people problems. So I know they say everyone has people problems.
Yeah, everyone does. Um, I think COVID was a weird case though. I don't think that's like normal because like
Yeah.
I think a lot of DE started rebelling, because like they were forced to be alone so much because of the isolation, and then they start thinking
Mhm.
about like their life and stuff. So then obviously once you start thinking about yourself, you're like, why am I doing all this for people,
Oh.
and then that you would rebel. But I think on a normal case that wouldn't happen. I think that was like a situational thing that seems to, you know,
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. Yeah, because I the thing I was fascinated by was the people who were rebelling were the ones who were normally the ones to take care of everybody.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like
exactly.
suddenly they're like, no, I can't do them. Like, you really? What? Like, okay, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
the
don't
DM,
like that.
what? You're not gonna serve me anymore. And you're like, nope, I had some time to think about it and like, why am I doing this? Like
Yeah, yeah,
um speaking of which, why don't we go over your play next? Your play is NT. You have NT play.
yeah.
We have the same functions, so it's easy for me to see.
Oh,
Yeah, because I'm an ENFP. Can you talk about a little bit about your NT play, like figuring things out with the tribe? Like when you're trying to solve something, you go to the tribe and like you talk things out or figure things out, like as a team.
yeah, yeah. So definitely, like the thing that I am have been known for, I feel like in my life when it comes to friendships is people want me to, it's like I'm a judge or something, like they want rulings from me. Like, what do you think I should do, Grace? I'm like, why like it I never said, hey, cut like this isn't something I signed up for, but like people just like decided this is who I am.
They knew you were
uh
ISTJ.
Yeah. So yeah, friends will call me and be like, okay, so here's everything that happened. And like tell me this long story of having to do with them and someone I don't actually know. And like, so what would you do? What do you think I should do? I'm like, well, you've got like two or three options here. And then I'm like, this option seems more like what you would do, uh, as being you. Um, if you wanted to go this way, you can. Uh, just remember to like stand up for yourself. Most of my friends are very much I don't know, I call them chameleons. They get in trouble because they like latch onto really intense personalities who take advantage of them. So uh, um but yeah, just a lot of helping people sort through life decisions. Of course, I'm not good at helping myself with that. Um yeah, I think it makes you more prone to being interested in like being a busybody or something. I don't know. That's all I can think of in regards to NT play. But I don't really understand play yet. For me, I'm I'm having a hard time seeing it comparatively to Blast when I'm using one or the other. So, and it is a demon, which I did think was surprising because I'm like, well, I don't know that I'm good at talking to a crowd, but I can talk to people one on one. That's how I felt about myself. So,
It sounds like you're doing the more monologue as opposed to pinging back and forth. Like when you're like right now when you're telling your story, it sounds like you're doing like a sleep blast monologue, you know, instead of like,
yeah.
like a more of a discussion, So um and the other thing too, when your friends were asking you for advice, it sounds like your friends were deciders and they're looking for you to double decide for them because they don't know how, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, that does happen a lot.
Yeah, and it
I
sounds like
think,
your
yeah.
EJ and IP friends is like asking you for advice based on what you just said. So I'm like, okay.
hmm
Um, yeah, because you're like the middle ground, right? You're like the double decider. So you're like, okay, I'll do it for you guys because you guys can't do it, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing anything weird, right? But they're always like, "Oh, yeah, like my husband, I don't know what he is yet, but sometimes I'll tell him like the other person's side and he'll be like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that." I'm like,
Oh,
"Really?"
you have an IP husband or something?
I don't know. I mean,
Sounds
we
like
always
you're
thought
on.
he was we always thought he was an ESTJ, but now I don't know anymore. I don't know. He's getting typed this month though, so
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, it
yeah,
sounds
we'll
like your
see.
husband might be an IP. You're like, married to an IP.
If he is, it's gonna really throw him, I think.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Maybe he's an ISTP or something. But anyways,
That would be good because then I could at least be like, hey, that's like the best type according to Dave
yeah.
and Shan. So
Yeah. Yeah, you would
yeah,
both be STs, right? That's kind of funny. Um,
yeah, it does kind of feel that way. But also, I've been realizing that maybe he has more intuition than me, which I mean isn't hard, obviously.
oh,
Uh,
maybe PINI?
I don't know. I mean, there's some people in the community that I feel like he talks like, and they're any users.
Oh,
Um, it's really crazy because he's always been the one that's like, oh yes, I'm very sensory and I notice every detail. And but I almost wonder if it's like a demon thing. That he gets really stressed out about the definitions of words. It's like, no, 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 you need to define your terms. Like he freaks out about it. I'm like, why are you freaking out? And I'm like, I'm not
oh,
doing that. So what is that? Like,
oh, does he have masculine SI? He sounds like he's maybe an INTP with masculine SI.
I definitely feel like he's double masculine.
Oh, a double masculine INTP, perhaps? Well, we'll see. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
Yeah.
and also when you were talking about like your friends asking you for like advice when it comes to people,
Mm,
I think that's you using your NT. You're figuring things out for them, or with
mm,
them, 'cause so it's like
hmm
a tribe thing. Okay, let's go over your last animal now. Consume. You consume last, but double masculine NF consume. Wow, that's a weird thing. So it's weird because I noticed I noticed that everyone has two things that makes them gravitate towards certain animals. So the first one is your double activated animal, and the second one
hmm
is double masculine one. Um, and the double masculine one, it's really interesting because a lot of people have double masculine as their fourth animal. I have double masculine sleep, for example, it's my fourth, right? So I can see it because it's double masculine, and I gravitate towards it, even though it's fourth.
hmm
So your consume last, it's NT or NF, sorry, but it's double masculine. So do you find yourself like forcing yourself to consume even if you don't want to, because it's like double masculine. It's like, I think I need to do this. I don't want to, but it keeps coming back. There's like a gravity pull towards it.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be on YouTube and I'll see a video and I'm like, I don't know if I'll watch it. I'm like, I probably should. Yeah, that totally happens. Yeah, I mean, I thought I was lead consume because I feel like that's all I ever do. Uh, Eric says he thinks that it's more about quality for me. Like I'll watch everything, I'll read everything, but it doesn't really sink in. I don't remember what any of it was. um, so yeah, I don't know. I say I don't know a lot. Um, Yeah, I enjoy consuming, I think. But there are, I mean, I Reggie made a video about consume and how it's like, oh, you're a king and you're like deciding what is good enough for you to consume. And that was really helpful to me. I don't think I do that well. It's not as filtered. um I mean, I feel like it is, but yeah. I think the filtering I actually do is just my IJ box interests. It's like, oh yes, I like this already, obviously. So yeah, I'll watch it. But then there's other times when I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about this. Um, it might be interesting. Um, but also I feel like my family, like my parents, is very consume heavy. Um, so I feel like it was kind of a there's a my family is like the super intellectual vibe. Like if you're not an intellectual, then my parents are um like that's what I'm supposed to be as their child. So there's a lot of pressure to be, I think, essentially an info dom. And so I feel like I'm pretty good at faking it if I need to.
Yeah.
Uh yeah. But I'm very silly and my family just isn't. I mean they must all be infodoms or something, like
Yeah.
even extended family. And so, people would say to me, "Where did you get your sense of humor from?" I'm like, I don't know. Not my parents. They don't laugh at jokes. They're very serious.
Right. You're the goofy energy dom. So
Yeah, but I'm not even that goofy, but like comparatively, yes, I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um well, you got your intellectual anti glasses going on. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Um
It
yeah.
helps.
Yeah. It's like I'm anti, I got, got glasses. But anyways, okay. Um part of your consume is also NF, and NF is correlated with purpose and meaning. So do you feel like when you have a new life experience that you get a sense of direction, meaning, purpose, you know, because of your specific consume, it's NF, right? So and then when you're not doing it, you feel like you're in a rut. So but when you do it, when you experience something new, then you feel great. There's like some kind of energy that you know motivates you to be better.
Change things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, can you talk
I
about that a bit?
do. Yeah. So, like every single time I've gone on a vacation, I come back and I'm like, I'm a new person now, uh, and it is silly. But yeah, I guess it just kind of like puts you in perspective better. Like the way I've been trying to think of NF is like I have a hard time zooming out. So going somewhere else, that I haven't been before helps make my internal map bigger. Uh, so that can be helpful for placing yourself better in the world, I think. Um, yeah, so just like I've always known that getting out of the house is important for me. Because otherwise I do get like stuck in my, I guess, habits. I always thought I hated habits, and they're saying like IJs are very routine based.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm still trying to understand that. But Eric says that when I'm healthier mentally, that I have more variety in my life. Like just naturally, that's what I start doing more. And when I'm not doing as well, I get more into my routines. Um, so I can believe that. Yeah, I'll like, for instance, for breakfast, I'll just eat the same thing for like months, and then I'll get sick of it. And like, okay, I'm not eating that again for like a year, and try eating something else instead. Which to me is like, oh, variety. Um,
Yeah.
so
Um, yeah, I have a lot of ISTJ friends, and you know, because I'm an ENFP, so obviously I see where they're you guys are my opposites, so I hang out with a lot of my opposites.
mhm.
I even have an ICJ friend who's a cop, and I get like paranoid sometimes when I hang out with him. I'm like, oh, did I do anything wrong? You know, because I'm an
Yeah.
you know, but you know, he just hang out with we're friends, right? But anyways, so I have an ICJ friend. He's like consume last, and he goes batshit crazy. The like when he doesn't do anything new, and he won't do anything new unless we drag him to do something new. And then, but when he does something new, he becomes more normal, like a more normal human. You know,
Oh
So I'm
man.
like, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy needs to go out, like do like go out more. Because he becomes
Yeah, that
normal.
stings.
What's that?
That stings. Too close to home. Too close to home.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm like, and I'm like, me and my other friends are always frustrated. I'm like, if this guy just went out more, his life would be so much better. He's so miserable because he doesn't go out, like he doesn't do anything unless we drag him,
Mm,
you know.
mm.
But and then, I like how with like IJs when they experience when you guys experience something new, you have like a deer in a headlight eye look. You're like, wow, wow, like it's like this has always been here. You could have done it before,
Guys, did you know? Did you know this was a
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah. You're like, whoa, you see what I'm seeing? You know?
It's so true. Yeah, I've realized, well, an INTP recently helped me realize one of my patterns in life is that I feel really anxious starting out doing something, and it takes me a while, but eventually once it gets into my FI or my sleep or whatever, then it's like this is just who I am. This is just what I do, and then I'm fine. But there is a like limbo period where I have to push through uh to become comfortable.
Okay,
So
so here's the weird thing though. I feel like with IJs, because you guys are like so habitual with the way you
mm,
with your life and stuff. Um, I have met some consume less IJs that travel a lot. It's really weird. And it's because that is their comfort zone. It's so weird, right? Like it's like
mhm.
since they were kids, their families always taking them to travel, and it's just like part of their life, and it's like part of their identity, So it's weird, like when you do lock on to an identity that is
Mhm.
the opposite of your type, it does help a lot. It's a weird thing, And like there's a book by James Clear, I think that David Chan talked about in the class. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I read, yeah, oh, what's it called?
Atomic
The
Habits.
audiobook.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic, oh yeah, sorry. Atomic Habits. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read the audiobook. Read.
Okay. But yeah,
Mhm.
everything starts with identity, right? So there you go. Like if you just make it your identity, then it's everything kind of falls into place.
Yeah, my family actually does do a lot of traveling. My mom would when I was little, she would always go to conferences and speak, and sometimes she'd take me with her. And then like my cousins were like everywhere. Like I had cousins in Egypt for a while, like a decade. Uh, it's just like we're nowhere near. It's like you would think we hate each other because we're all so spread out. Like no need to get together. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of traveling. I went to the UK in third grade, and then in eighth grade, my parents signed me up for a trip for Germany and Austria and Hungary. So I went for that. And we went camping every year in the summer. We went to the Grand Canyon, and that's it. We're bad at family vacations, but we do technically value travel. So I don't know.
Do you feel good when you do go on those travel experiences?
I do, and certainly comparatively to my husband, he feels really stressed out by it.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, I'm more like, all right, in the moment, this is cool, this is great. Yeah. And I do a lot of research beforehand, probably, and that makes me feel better. It's like I know all the different restaurants and how they're rated, and um, I am picky about finding a good hotel and stuff like that. But yeah, but once I feel like I have enough information, then I just like calm down about it and try to enjoy it.
So
So
when you travel, are you very regimented, or are you like you become like a vacation version of yourself? You know?
I think I become ENFP me, yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, I did hear that for like a lot of IJs. They're like, when I travel, I don't want to plan. Like I want to be free, you know? It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that was like one of those things. So like for our honeymoon, Eric wanted to go on a cruise because it is so planned out. And I'm like, I mean, okay, who wants to do a planned vacation? Not me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Ironic. It's very ironic. Um, okay. You earlier mentioned that you would eat the same thing for months on end and then you get sick of it and you don't want to see it again. Um, you are a tester and you are visual. So let's talk about the tester side first. So tester is correlated with smell and taste. So and because you're SI, SI means you have your favorite sense and your favorite taste. Can you talk about your favorite sense and your favorite taste that is like your go-to that you always go back to?
Uh, yeah. Vanilla, pine tree, pine. Um, let's see, other smells, cinnamon, I guess. Um, yeah, I am one of those people that people buy me candles. There's one year right before my birthday, I went to Bath and Body and took pictures of all these cool candles that I saw. And I didn't mean for that to be like, hey, get this for my birthday. But then literally everyone brought me one of those candles. Like, oh my gosh, I had like 10 candles.
Did you like
Still
it?
using those. Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, I love scents. Yeah, and I do think it's very tied to memory for me. If you can um, yeah, if I can find a scent that smells in some way like my childhood or something like that, it really just like it's like a wave, you know. Um, I was helping my parents go through some old stuff in their house, and uh, from when my granny was sick, and her old stuff, and I found this bag that had a shawl of hers in it, and I opened it, and oh my gosh, Granny's perfume. It was like suddenly she was alive again. And that was emotional for me. Like, oh my gosh. So that makes sense. And the tester aspect is I like trying out new recipes, sort of. I mean, I have to push myself to do it. Still have consume last, but I get really excited about it, and I think cooking is the way that I do the whole tester thing most.
Got it. And then what about the visual thing, the visual side? Like do you have a visual memory as well?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't been in other people's brains, so like comparatively, I'm unclear on what the difference is, because it just seems normal to me. But yeah, I mean, I remember things visually, I guess. Uh, I didn't know that wasn't like there's theories about how some people don't hear words in their head. They just like see vague representations of stuff. Um, and that was fascinating for me to learn. I had no idea. So, but yeah, I can remember like my viewpoint. Like I remember being 3 and like looking up from the kitchen. You see like the bottom of the cabinets and stuff, or the countertop. Like I can still remember that view. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, me being masculine feminine, my visual is terrible. I don't see anything when I think about stuff. So
Oh
uh
man.
yeah, but my auditory is really good. So earlier you're talking about like when you smell something, it like takes you back into something and you get like emotional. So for me, that's like auditory. Like it takes me back to like something that happened in the past, and I remember how I felt, in those moments.
Yeah, the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, but it has
No,
to
I
be
agree with that.
the audio triggers it, not the smell. The smell doesn't trigger it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of smell, also, um, the people with extrovert sensing, I don't know if you know this, but they get really weird if they're a tester. They have to smell everything, even if it smells bad. So,
Oh man.
which is really funny. Which is really funny. Like if you tell them,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to smell this. It smells really bad, and they'll be like, and then they feel obligated to smell. It's like nasty, right? You know.
That may help me understand one of my friends. She's prone to that. And I'm always like, why? You don't have to smell that.
Yeah, they're being weird about it, right? You're like, yeah, you're like, okay, it is what it
Like,
is.
I mean, you chose this.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not having much sympathy for you in this moment.
Yeah, yeah, you chose to smell this smelly thing. Um, okay, cool. Let's talk about you being an IJ that scared of chaos. Okay. Um, talk about talk about your fear of chaos.
Yeah. So that was the first thing that started making sense once I got my type back is I guess I don't want to think about chaos. So I'm only thinking about how I want certainty. Um, yeah, I'm always like, I want to know for sure. I want to know things for sure. And the more clarity you can give me, the happier I'll be. So yeah, like one thing is like if someone's making a face and I don't know why they're making that face, I start to panic. I'm like, something wrong? And they're like, huh? No. I'm like, oh, okay. Um, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't like chaotic things. I am not a fan of roller coasters. I don't like haunted houses. Uh, all the typical chaotic things that my EP friends love. I I have realized purposefully have EP friends to push me out of my comfort zone. Like I've always done that. And
Yeah.
so I now that I understand what happened, I've gone back and thanked some of them. Like, you know, I'll be like standing on the sidelines, like, yeah, like, come on, like, so yeah, they've been good for me. Helps make me a little more balanced, maybe. But yeah, I mean, why would anyone like chaos? I wonder. you know, sometimes like I understand a certain amount of wanting chaos, but going overboard with it seems like a dumb decision. No judgment here, but for
It's all
me,
good.
it's like, ah,
My favorite is like when an EP and IJ they hang out, right? So they're like the IJ's like, like freaked out about like something bad's gonna happen, and the EP's
mm,
trying to like reassure them, you know.
mhm.
And then suddenly like a decider comes in the room being weird about people, and then the EP and the IJ look at each other like, why is this person being weird? It's like because
Yeah,
EPs and IJs were double deciders, so it's like, we're good with like people is not like the biggest problem. So it's like, huh? Like what? This is not like they're being weird. Did you see what I'm seeing?
yeah,
And the IJ's like, yeah, I saw it. I don't know why they're being weird. It's like
that has happened so many times, and I just thought that was like an extreme, like, oh, that person's just like one of those extreme people. But now I'm like, oh, that's like half of the population, I guess.
yeah,
Wow.
half the
Um,
population. Yeah,
and I love them, don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I like, gosh, but yeah. So I was hiking one time in Colorado and one of my friends, she just kept like going up to the edge, like on this like mountainy, hillish place we were. And she just kept being very, very chaotic. She was acting like she was 7 or something. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop that.
your
Like,
EP
you
friend.
gotta like, that's dangerous. And she's like, huh? I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're getting a heart attack.
Yeah, yeah. Like that you can have fun without like I've never understood that I don't like adrenaline rushes, for instance. Um yeah, like you why do you think that's fun? I don't understand. Don't risk your life. That's not fun.
Well,
So yeah.
obviously it's fun. That's why they're doing it. But
Yeah, but why? Why is that fun? I don't understand.
like tempting fate, I guess. But
Yeah.
oh, the other thing I like about like the IJs, like when I hang out with IJs, is like when we have like decider friends, and deciders, if they're an IP, if they're an EJ, they tend to like, not think so highly of themselves. So, as a double decider, you want to bring people up, right? But when someone's on a high horse, for some reason you want to knock them down, because like the double decider wants to make sure that, no one's going too crazy with the high horse thing, or no one's feeling too down, right? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I noticed like with my IJ friends when we're hanging out with like deciders, if one of my IP friends is like going on his high horse, like bragging about how good he is and how smart he is, my IG friend automatically starts knocking him down a few pegs, and I'm like, I don't even have to do it. My fellow double decider is doing it for me, Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if you do that yourself. It's like, like have an IP friend that's on a high horse.
I do. I do. I think I have a particular friend I'm thinking of. Yeah, he's very opinionated about all sorts of things, and he just assumes that everything he likes is the best. And and I'm always like, all right, okay, sure, sure. Like, okay. I don't know. It's funny. And it's like the even funnier part is, of course, it's stuff that is not as SF cool, right? That of course it's the most cool thing in the world because he thinks it's the most cool thing in the world. I'm like, you are perfectly, it's perfectly okay for you to like that thing, but everyone else isn't going to necessarily like it. And you being stubborn about it isn't going to help. So yeah, it's funny. But that, yeah, it's just funny to me. It doesn't bother me. I also get amused when my EJ friends act like they have this like roundabout way of expressing how they feel about things because they don't want to come off as like an IP, but they still have opinions, and so they're trying to like figure out how to say what they feel without letting people know that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are funny.
All right, Grace. I have two last questions for you, and we'll wrap up the interview. Okay. So the first one, um, what does your EP swing looks like? Because David Chan now has now mentioned that um, IPs and EJs are pretty much the same. It just depends where they are on the swing, and IJs and EPs are pretty much the same. It just depends where you are on the swing, right?
Mm.
So when you swing to EP, you become an ENFP, right? So what does your when you become an ENFP, what like how does that swing happen? Like when does it occur? What does it look like? And how does it make you feel?
Um, yeah, I guess it's when I feel like I've been too much in a routine for too long, which I guess is why I didn't think I was routine based. Um, because I will rage against it and just like stop doing any of it. A rebellion. And suddenly I'll be like, we should go do something. And then everyone's like, oh, you want to do something? I'm like, yeah, obviously. And they're like, okay. Because I haven't been saying that for a long time and now I am. Uh so yeah, I'll suddenly want to go out and go to a drive-in movie theater or go camping or something. And I'm not normally wanting to do that all the time. So it confuses people, I think. Uh, so I'm suddenly acting like I'm this other version of myself that
Yeah.
wants to do all these things. I definitely think I get more that way in the summer. My birthday's in the summer, and so I'm like, all right, it's time to party.
For your birthday.
Yeah.
do you
Uh,
do you cause chaos for the tribe when your EP swing happens?
I don't know. Yes, for the drive. I don't know. Can you give me more what that would look like, an example or something?
Um, okay, like I'll give you an example from like IJs that I've seen. Okay, so this IJ example is like um obviously an IJ would blast last, and then the IJ said something to the family, and the family kind of went on a chaos, because they don't speak up, right? But you're
Mm.
consumed, so you're a little bit different. So you finally research something, and then it caused like a lot of issues because you discovered something that you know.
Oh, that's happening right now with OP.
Oh yeah,
trying to force OP on everyone I know, and they're like, "Hey, what? No, do I have to know this?" Like this happens like every, I don't know, 7 years. I'll get into a new personality system, and suddenly it's all I'll talk about, and so everyone essentially has to learn it in order to have a conversation with me.
Oh,
And
right.
that's an extreme way of putting it, but yeah, I do bring it up a lot, and it's hard to explain. So, like, it's just there's a lot there, you know. So I started just like talking about human needs with people because that feels more simple.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so I guess I cause chaos that way. I think I'm very afraid of causing chaos. I mean, I'm TE, right? So I'm always worried about what other people are thinking about what I'm doing. Um, yeah, very eggshell walking sort of stuff most of the time until finally my FI gets fed up, and uh, yeah, maybe that's when I cause chaos, is when I finally state my opinion
I see.
about something. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you felt that way." Like, it's true, you didn't. I didn't say it, but I felt it, and you should have. Sometimes they should have just known, right? Not really, but that's how I feel.
All right. Last question for you is consume again. And part of consume is self-awareness, or not self-awareness, external self-awareness. So basically you become like a ghost and you can see yourself from a third person perspective and you know how you come across to the tribe. You're consume last, but it's double masculine. Do you feel like you know how you come across to the tribe at all times, or do you feel like you have no clue how you come across to the tribe at all? Um, because of that consume last, like you're not consuming yourself, you know?
Yeah, it feels like both. Like I have a theory of how I come across, but I'm afraid of guessing, so I'm not sure. So there's just a lot of anxiety about it. It's like, oh, and so I guess I've gone with the strategy of it's better to assume that everyone hates me, and go from there and try to be as nice as possible to counteract that. Um, do whatever I can to make myself seem more appealing. And so yeah, I mean, I feel like I have moments of clarity, and I do ask, like Eric all the time, how I come across. Having a partner, other half is useful for that, right? To be like, do I look like an idiot? Did I say that wrong? Like in the car after, socially being out doing stuff, I always like try to ask how I came across. And, you know, most of the time he's like, "You were fine. What are you talking?"
Yeah.
It's you're fine. Okay. Eh, so yeah, it makes me nervous.
All right. Well, Grace, we'll wrap the interview here. So thanks for coming out and sharing more about yourself and, the life of an EJ. Um, you know,
EJ?
IJ, sorry. IJ. IJ. You're an IJ EJ. So yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're like, what is it? IJ, EJ, IP. Because you have sleep savior, you know.
Oh,
The sleep is
gotcha.
IP. Yep.
Yeah,
Play
yeah.
is EJ, but you're tribal self, so you're also EJ. And then yeah, and consume is EP, and blast IJ. So
That's complicated. Wow,
yeah, but you're an IJ EJ IP. Yeah,
man.
yeah,
That's funny because my one thing I didn't think I was an EP. Like that's the only thing I was sure about.
yeah.
So
And you're right. You're like there's no EP, the EP is
yeah.
the bottom. Yeah. All right. Well, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thanks.